What is up everyone, SuperaTom here, and finally I have got my Ayaka's in-depth review for you guys. My apologies for this video being a bit late, and I know that many of you are waiting to know how good Ayaka really is and whether she's worth it for you or not, which is why I just took most of my time testing her out yesterday to make this review as detailed for you as possible. And so without further ado, let us jump into the video. First off is my very first impression on Ayaka when I got my hands on her. If you want to watch how painfully it was, you can check out my Ayaka pool reaction video right here. Okay, first thing is that she is a very fun character to play. Mainly the reason being her attack animation feels very unique. Her sword animation is completely different to any other characters. Mind you, many sword users feel the same when playing, especially the 4-star character. Also, there's a certain timing to some of her attacks that just make me feel it will take some time to get used to her playstyle. For example, the transition between her combo to her charge attack doesn't feel very smooth compared with, let's say, Yu-Peng or Yula. At the end of her combo, the 5th attack does not allow you to move instantly, and it will take roughly a second before you can move, and you can't chain any charge attack with it as well. So whenever you hit the 5th attack, you will have to cancel it out, in which you will either continue to attack like what I'm doing here, or dash out, or jump cancel. Next, if you want to charge attack spam, her CA spam also doesn't feel as smooth because it has a certain delay in between the charge attack. Unlike Yu-Peng, who can spam it very consistently, for Ayaka you cannot do another CA until you see her fully putting back her sword in. If you try to press it before that, it doesn't work as she's basically stuck in the animation. So you need a bit of getting used to the timing to consistently CA spam in battle. Talking about charge attack spam, her charge attack is very good in that it has super wide AoE. As you're seeing here, I'm spamming my CA and it literally hits a whole large group of slime, which is not something that anyone could do. Plus it also has really far reach. And here's an even better thing, is that her charge attack is probably the only one that does not knock back the mobs whatsoever, even small slimes. And also it looks really cool when you kill an enemies to boost. Also, we have heard that miHoYo finally fixed her dash, and yes, her dash is fixed, which is much easier to dodge now. However, it still has that weird feeling to it, in that at the end of the dash animation where she pops up, she's basically stuck in that direction until she has fully hopped back up. Unlike the normal dash where it's very easy for you to change your direction whenever you feel like it, for Ayaka you need a bit of aiming towards the direction you want. Now I'm pointing this out not to say this is a bad side of Ayaka, but to say that her combo and skill set is unique, and it will take you some amount of using her to get used to it, which is exactly the reason why I find her very fun to use. So that's my quick impression of her. Now let us hop into the DPS side of things. For her toolkit, I must say that she's one of the most F2P friendly DPS character as of date, because she will be doing an insane amount of damage at C0, and both of her talents actually boost your damage even further. So for her normal attack, she has very decent scaling, in that if we're looking at her charge attack scaling, it is very good. Her E skill casts a cryo circle, dealing AoE cryo damage to the enemies, and her burst is what makes her an insane character, because its scaling is very high, making her being a burst DPS potentially will help her deal even more damage than being a normal DPS, and I'll explain why further after this. The only downside to this is that if you don't aim her burst correctly, it is easy to miss, because mobs can easily just walk out of her burst, especially for those that are large. Her first talent will boost her attack by 30% after her E skills, which is insane. Therefore, it's best to always use her E skill first before her burst. Her second talent, meaning after you use her dash, if it hits the enemy, you get 10 stamina back as well as 18% cryo damage bonus for 10 seconds. And that is a lot of buff, guys. For her constellation, normally for free-to-play free-to-play players, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have the ability to invest in her, C1 is probably the only one you need. Whenever Ayaka deals cryo damage in her normal attack and CA, she has 50% chance to reduce 0.3 seconds of her E-skill cooldown, which is very good. C2 is not a must, it just ensures that her burst has a wider range of attack and deal more damage overall. Now C3 and C4 is very good if you're running her as burst DPS. C3 gives you 3 talents level to her burst, and C4 decreases the opponent defense by 30% for 6 seconds when it's hit by Ayaka's burst. In other words, your burst just got a 30% attack boost. So up until C4, it is very good for Ayaka already. C6 is really not needed, but hey, if you're going for C6, then normally you'll be a WoW already, right? C6 basically means that for every 10 seconds, Ayaka's CA will get 298% buff, which is insane, and the buff goes out in 0.5 seconds after her CA hits an opponent. In other words, it's 1 charge attack per every 10 seconds. And I'm sure that's good enough to take out a large boss in the right condition. For Ayaka's detailed build, I've made a video that has gone too very deep into different builds of Ayaka, as well as her artifacts, weapons, and team comp. It is very detailed, so it's better that you check that video out after this than me covering it again in this video, as it will be too long. With that being said, here's my finding after a lot of testing and research, is that Ayaka has 2 main playstyle, which is normal main DPS and burst DPS. Now, if you're running her as main DPS, it means you will be using her mostly on field most of the time, and you will want to prioritize her charge attack spam while using the 4-piece Blizzard set. The best team as of date for this build is Permafreeze, that includes Ayaka, Xingqiu, Diona, and Venti, as in this clip here. And don't mind my Ayaka level, by the way, she's underleveled, so her damage is of course quite low, but if it's fully built, I can be confident that she can delete mobs within 1 or 2 CA spam. So for this team, you have Venti for crowd control, Diona for support and resonance, and Xingqiu being the key member for freeze. The most important thing about this is you just want to have Xingqiu's burst up most of the time. Pair that up with Ayaka and every single mob will mostly be frozen. However, there's a downside to this playstyle in that CA spam Ayaka can feel weird at times because of the delay between her charge attack. Plus, it will be very hard for you to consistently charge attack spam if mobs are swarming at you, or let's say like large enemies like the Geo-Bishop, where if you can't kill them quickly, they will disrupt your charge attack many of the time, reducing your DPS damage quite significantly. Which is why I mentioned earlier that Ayaka being burst DPS will potentially works much better. Now, burst DPS in other words can mean that you're playing quick swap team, and currently the best team for this is Meltcom, that includes Ayaka, Xiangling, Bennett, and Venti. Venti is the most crucial in this comp because in order for Ayaka's burst to guarantee a hit, Venti's crowd control is needed. So what you can do will be set up Bennett's burst, then Venti's burst, and then Xiangling's burst, and then Ayaka's E and her burst. While doing so, you can consistently swap between characters to charge up your energy and then come back to the cycle again. The reason why Ayaka being a burst DPS works so well is because of her super high burst damage. It hits like 20 times, and with the correct build at level 80, she'll be doing roughly 20k damage each hit. Furthermore, if you got access to the new set that boosts your burst damage based on energy recharge, which gives you this build so much more DPS potential. It will also be easier for you to play as you don't have to depend yourself on freezing the enemies and manage your stamina like in the perma-freeze charge spam build. So that's 2 of the best team as of date for Ayaka, and of course we can have different character on the team too, which is what I have covered in my detailed Ayaka build. So after testing on Ayaka, here's the pros and cons of hers. For her pros, she is a very good character with AoE damage. All of her kits basically give her access to AoE damage. She has access to super high burst damage. She is very free to play friendly because she deals very high damage at C0, very OP talent, and she has crit damage to support her build. She also has a very unique playstyle because of her access to full cryo damage and her special dash animation. For her cons, her attack animation isn't smooth at times, like her charge attack needs timing to be used consistently, and that takes time for you to master. Her burst is very easy to miss at times, she needs help from party member if you want to ensure it to hit. And finally, her dash still feels weird at times. And that's for her pros and cons. However, personally for me, I just love playing her. She's very fun to play and very unique game style because of her dash and always have access to cryo. Same goes to a friend of mine on Discord who literally experienced every C6 character in the game, and he said that she's one of the best characters that I have played other than Child and Kazuha. So after all this, it leaves the question, is she worth pulling for you? And so my conclusion is, to you, it would be you should pull for her if you are currently lacking a cryo DPS, if you love her playstyle and Ayaka herself, and if you like playing freeze comp or interested in quick swap team, and finally if you can put up with her dash, then she will be very fitting to your team. Well guys, it was quite a long video, but I hope the video was very useful to you. If it did, be sure to subscribe to my channel as I post daily content to bring you the latest guides, news and updates on Genshin Impact with some funny moments as a cherry on top. With that, this is Tom wishing everyone a super day.